My girlfriend dumped me because she was bored with me. But when I started dating her old friend, she started acting strange. The most insane thing happened last week. My ex, who dumped me months ago because I was boring, completely lost her mind when she saw me with someone new. I'm talking full-on meltdown. She showed up at my apartment at 2 a.m., hammering on the door, yelling my name, and demanding to know why I was dating her old friend. This is the same girl who told me I'd never be good enough for her, who walked away without a second thought, and now she's acting like I betrayed her. It's not just that she was mad. She was unhinged, like she'd been plotting my every move since we broke up. I couldn't believe it. One minute I'm finally moving on, thinking I've got a shot at happiness, and the next she's back, trying to claw her way into my life again. I stood there, staring at her through the peephole, wondering how it even got to this point. My phone was already blowing up with texts from her, apologies mixed with insults, and I just muted it. This wasn't the girl I knew, or maybe it was, and I'd been too blind to see it. Either way, it shook me. How did a breakup I'd mostly gotten over turn into this nightmare? It all started months ago, back when she first decided I wasn't worth her time, and I never could have predicted it'd end up here. It all kicked off when my girlfriend, well, ex now, dumped me out of nowhere. One day we're chilling on the couch, watching some random show, and the next she's sitting me down, saying she's done. She didn't even hesitate. She told me she met this other guy, someone she said was cooler, more interesting, better at everything, and way more successful than me. She didn't hold back, kept going on about how he had a better job, drove a nicer car, and made her laugh in ways I apparently never could. I just sat there, taking it, while she packed a bag and left. That was it. No warning, no big fight, just her deciding I wasn't enough anymore. She moved out that weekend, and I heard through mutual friends she was already posting pics with this dude online. I didn't even know his name at first, just that he was supposedly everything I wasn't. It stung bad. I'd been with her for 2 years, and she threw it away like it was nothing. After she left, I kept replaying her words in my head, boring, unmotivated, stuck, and wondering if she was right. I didn't cry or anything, but I felt like garbage. She was gone, living her upgraded life, and I was stuck in our old apartment, surrounded by reminders of her. I didn't think it could get worse than that, but man, was I wrong. Before she dumped me, we'd been together for 2 solid years, and I thought things were decent. We met through a friend at a bar downtown. She was loud, confident, the kind of person who could talk to anyone, and I was just happy she picked me out of the crowd. I'm not some big-shot extrovert, but I've got a steady job in IT, pay my bills, and figured I was doing okay. We moved in together after a year, splitting rent on a small place with a leaky faucet we never got around to fixing. She worked retail back then, always complaining about her manager, and I'd listen, try to cheer her up with takeout or a dumb joke. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes she'd get mad if I didn't want to go out, or I'd zone out when she rambled about her day, but it felt stable. We had routines, Friday movie nights, Sunday grocery runs, even a couple road trips to the coast. I wasn't flashy, didn't have some high-flying career, but I cared about her. She started changing about 6 months before the breakup, though. She got a new job at some marketing firm, started dressing sharper, hanging out with people who talked about networking and startups. I'd catch her scrolling through Instagram, eyeing these influencers with perfect lives, and she'd make little comments, how her friend's boyfriend just bought a condo, how she wanted more excitement. I didn't think much of it at first, figured it was just talk, but she was drifting. She'd come home late, say she was with coworkers, and I'd be sitting there with dinner cold on the table. Looking back, I should have seen the signs, but I trusted her. Thought we were a team. Turns out, she was already sizing up her next move, and I was just the guy holding her back after she left. I was a mess. I'd wake up every day feeling like I'd been punched in the gut, staring at the empty side of the bed where she used to sleep. Work was the only thing keeping me sane. Coding, fixing servers, stuff I could control. But even then, I'd zone out, thinking about her with that new guy. I scrolled her social media once, saw her posting pics at some fancy rooftop bar with him, and shut my phone off for a whole day. It hit me hard. She wasn't just gone, she was thriving, while I was stuck picking up the pieces. About a month after the breakup, I tried to get her back. Dumb move, I know. I texted her, kept it simple, just said I missed her and wanted to talk. She replied hours later, short and cold, telling me she was happy now and I needed to move on. I didn't stop there, called her a couple times, left a voicemail saying I could change, be more like what she wanted. She never picked up. Finally, I showed up at her new place with flowers, looking like an idiot on her doorstep. She opened the door, saw me, and told me flat out I was embarrassing myself. That was it, the last straw. I walked away, tossed the flowers in a dumpster, and told myself I was done. I called myself a rag, a pathetic loser who couldn't let go, and swore I'd forget her for good. Took down every picture, blocked her number, deleted her from everything. It wasn't easy, but I started forcing myself to move forward, one day at a time, figuring I'd never hear from her again. A few months after I decided to forget my ex for good, I started talking to someone new. Her name's Jess, and she's someone I met through work. We didn't jump into anything serious, just started with coffee, then texting here and there about random stuff. It was easy, no pressure, and I like that. Things moved forward naturally. We'd hang out sometimes, watch movies, or grab food. I wasn't trying to overthink it, just taking it as it came. Turns out, Jess knew my ex from way back. They'd worked at the same place before. I didn't know that at first, and when I found out, I didn't make a big deal of it. Didn't want old drama creeping in. We kept things going, nothing too heavy, and I was finally feeling like I could breathe again after the breakup. Then, one day, Jess gets this long, angry message from my ex. It's all about me, how Jess shouldn't be with me, how I'm not worth her time, how she's crossing some line by dating me. Jess showed me the texts, totally thrown off, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. My ex had somehow found out we were talking, maybe through a mutual friend or something, and instead of ignoring it, she went straight to Jess to mess things up. I was floored. I'd been out of her life for months, blocked her everywhere, and here she was, still trying to control what I did. It didn't make sense. She dumped me, moved on with her better guy, so why was she bothering Jess now? It was the first sign she wasn't as over me as she'd acted after my ex messaged Jess. Things got wild fast. Jess told me she wrote back, keeping it short, just saying she wasn't looking for drama and to leave her alone. My ex didn't take that well. She started blowing up Jess's phone texts, calls, even voicemails, going off about how Jess was making a huge mistake, how I'd ruin her life too. Jess blocked her after that. But it didn't stop there. My ex started posting vague stuff online. Things like, some people don't know loyalty and watch who you trust, clearly aimed at Jess. I saw it because a buddy screenshot it and sent it to me, asking what was up. I didn't respond, just watched it unfold. Then, word got back to me that she'd dumped her boyfriend, the cooler, better guy she left me for. Apparently, she ended it out of nowhere, told him she needed space, and he was done with her games. I heard this from a mutual friend who still talked to her sometimes. Right after that, she turned her focus on Jess again, sending her more messages through a different number, threats this time, saying she'd regret it if she kept seeing me. Jess was shaken up, told me she didn't sign up for this craziness, and I felt awful for dragging her into it. My ex was spiraling, unbalanced, pissed off, like she couldn't handle me moving on. It was nuts to see her go from dumping me like trash to acting like I was still her property. I couldn't figure out why she cared so much now. After months of silence, once my ex started losing it over me and Jess, I couldn't stop thinking about why she was doing this. It didn't add up. She'd walked away from me without a second thought, told me I was boring and not worth her time. So why was she acting like this now? The more I turned it over in my head, the more it clicked. She'd planned to keep me on a leash all along. Back when we broke up, she'd made it clear she was upgrading to someone better, but she never fully cut me off. She'd check in every now and then, random texts asking how I was, liking my posts online even after she moved out. I thought it was just her being polite, but now I saw it differently. She wanted me hanging around, waiting in the background, just in case her new life didn't pan out. When I tried to get her back and she shot me down, it fed into that she liked knowing I was still hooked, still an option she could pick up later if she got bored. But then I stopped chasing her, blocked her, moved on with Jess, and that's when she flipped. Seeing me with someone else, especially her old colleague, must have wrecked her little backup plan. She couldn't stand that I wasn't her safety net anymore. That's why she went after Jess so hard, threatening her, trying to scare her off. It wasn't just jealousy, it was her losing control. She dumped her boyfriend right after, probably thinking she could swoop back in and reclaim me, like I'd just be sitting there waiting. It was messed up, realizing she'd never really let me go, not because she loved me, but because she wanted me as a fallback. The whole thing made my stomach turn, knowing I'd been a pawn in her game for months without seeing Ida. A week after my ex started threatening Jess, she showed up again, this time with a different tune. Her boyfriend had dumped her for good after she ended things, and I guess she hit rock bottom. She texted me first, unblocked somehow, saying she was sorry for everything, that she'd made a huge mistake leaving me. I didn't reply. Then she called, left a voicemail crying, asking to meet up and talk. I listened to it once, deleted it, and kept my phone off for the night. But she wouldn't stop. She came to my place, knocking on the door, looking wrecked. Hair messy, eyes red, nothing like the put-together girl who'd walked out on me months ago. She stood there, begging me to take her back, saying she'd been wrong about the other guy, wrong about me being boring, wrong about everything. She kept going, promising she'd change, that we could start over and make it work. I didn't let her in. I just stood in the doorway, arms crossed, and told her no. Told her she didn't get to dump me, trash me, then come crawling back when her new life fell apart. She got mad then, started yelling that I owed her a chance, that I was throwing away something good. I didn't budge, shut the door, locked it, and watched her leave through the window. She texted a few more times after that, but I blocked her again. That was it. I'd spent months beating myself up over her, and now she was the one desperate. I wasn't taking her back, not after all the chaos she caused, so here I am, months after the breakup, finally free of my ex but still trying to wrap my head around everything. She's gone quiet now, no more texts, no more showing up at my door, and I'm pretty sure she's out of my life for good this time. Jess and I are still talking, taking it slow, but she's understandably rattled by the whole mess. I don't blame her. My ex's meltdown was a lot to handle. Looking back, I can't believe how much I let that relationship wreck me, thinking I wasn't good enough, chasing someone who didn't even respect me. Now I see it for what it was, her keeping me around as a fallback while she chased something shinier. When that fell through, she tried to reel me back in, but I'm done being her option. It feels good to say no, to walk away on my terms, but I'm still sorting out what's next. Jess seems solid, but I'm paranoid about jumping into something too fast after all this. My ex might be gone, but the chaos she left behind lingers. I keep wondering if I handled it right, shutting her down, keeping my distance, or if I should have done something different. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Either way, I'm curious what people think. Anyone out there dealt with an ex pulling this kind of stunt? How do you shake it off and keep moving? What's the play when someone tries to claw their way back after torching everything?